There's 1,000 ways of making lasagna, and it's not all about the classic meat sauce. Instead of using meat, I'm going to use some tinned salmon with leeks and dill, and it is so delicious. So what I've been doing here is just finely chopping 2 leeks. You need loads of leeks for this recipe because as they cook down, they become jammy and sweet and go really well with any type of seafood, just like the salmon. So I've been preheating a pan here, just on a medium to high heat. You don't want it to be really, really hot. So a glug of extra virgin olive oil can go into our pan and we'll start adding our leeks. So in they go. You can see there's not a huge sizzle there. That's okay. The heat will start coming up in a moment. And it does look like quite a lot of leeks, but it does cook down a lot. And this is only going to take about 8 to 10 minutes. We're just going to continually stir it though. To this, I'll also add some celery, so really mild, gentle flavours to go with our salmon, nothing too harsh. So some celery for some sweetness and also a few cloves of garlic that I've chopped. So just give that a bit of a stir to coat in that oil. And I'll also add a good pinch of salt at this stage too, just so it helps those leeks sweat. Great. Okay, while that's cooking along, let's make a classic bechamel. You'll need 50 grams of butter. So we'll just measure that out. So let's say 50, perfect. And always when you're making a bechamel, it's even amounts of butter to flour. So I'll melt the butter, just get that in and around the pan just so it gets really foamy and we can add the plain flour. So 50 grams of flour and then we'll give that a stir and just cook off that flour. You need that to cook off. It takes away the rawness of the flour and gives us a really nice base to start adding our liquid. So there's 2 options here. You can add a beautiful fish stock to this if you like, or a chicken stock, or the classic way to make it extra creamy is with some milk. So I've just warmed that milk up slightly and little by little I'll add the milk. We'll start with a splash. Each time just giving it a really good stir to remove any lumps, even changing over to a whisk to really get in there, removing all those lumps until it's thick, smooth and silky. Okay, this is the perfect consistency. It's thick, it's glossy. I'll add a pinch of salt to the bechamel, some freshly cracked pepper, a small pinch of Parmesan cheese, and then smoked cheddar. This always reminds me of a fish pie, and I think it works really nicely. So a handful of that. And we're just going to turn the heat off and allow all that delicious cheese to melt into our bechamel. Oh, so good. To make this even better, I'm adding a combination of mustard and nutmeg. So a good pinch of that. Okay, we'll just mix that. And the sauce component is finished. Now back over to the leeks. They've softened, they've caramelized just slightly, not too much color. We can add some wine, so just white wine. Once that alcohol has cooked off, we can turn the heat off. I'll add some spinach. And because it's so hot in there, that residual heat will cook that spinach down. So in with the spinach, and we'll just gently fold that through, and you'll see it cooks in no time. Okay, a few more ingredients into this sauce. Some dill. We're just going to chop that. We want a couple of tablespoons of the dill, so we'll pop that in. And I'm going to use some tinned salmon for this. You'll need about 400 grams. I have drained it and I love the big chunks of flaky salmon. So just with our spatula, really want to gently fold this through, and that's the base ready to go. So now for the fun part, which is making our gorgeous lasagna. I'm using a rectangular baking dish just like this one, a big spoon. We're going to add a layer of our spinach and salmon. And you can see how much that has wilted down. So spread that out, quite a thin layer of that. And then just with a ladle, we're going to add that. This is our saucy component. Just going to just gently drizzle that over the top. Now for this recipe, because it's not too liquidy, I like to use instant lasagna sheets. They cook faster and they don't soak up as much of the liquid. So we'll add one, press that down, another one, Press that down, and then we can continue the layers. The last layer does have to be a little cheese so it goes super golden brown. Again, a little bit more of that smoked cheddar and Parmesan. Then it goes into the oven. We're gonna cook it for about 30 to 40 minutes at 180 degrees. All right, this glorious salmon lasagna has come out of the oven. I've allowed it to cool. You don't want to cut into it when it's really hot. You just need it to settle. And then let's cut into this and get a nice generous piece. Oh, I can see how creamy it is because of that bechamel. And then just going to grab an egg flip and we'll just take that out. Look at that, it's piping hot. By just having a few simple ingredients in the pantry like some tinned salmon and some lasagna sheets, you can make this beautiful lasagna any time of the week.